Join Bob Kolazarik as he welcomes a diverse array of guests to the enlightening talk show, Greetings from the Ashram. In each episode, Bob sits down with experts and practitioners from the world of complementary healing modalities, spirituality, and holistic wellness to delve into the transformative power of these practices. From ancient traditions to cutting-edge therapies, Greetings from the Ashram offers viewers an insightful and uplifting journey into the realms of mind, body, and spirit. So now, please welcome your host, Bob Kolazarik.
Hello, everyone. Namaste and welcome. I am Bob Kolazarik, and you are watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our esteemed guest today. Her name is Aubree Sellwood, and she is the visionary owner of Limitless Life Global. She's a renowned gut health nutrition expert and also a dedicated personal trainer with a passion for empowering individuals to unlock their full potential and really embrace a life of vitality. Aubree brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our discussion today. So join me in welcoming Aubree Sellwood as we delve into the transformative power of gut health and holistic well-being. Welcome to the show, Aubree.
Hi, thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. I want to start out and say, I'm really excited to have you here about the gut health. The gut health has been getting more and more attention these days, right? And so I was out at CVS, and I this magazine jumps off the newsstand at me. I'm like, all right, so I'm getting it from all sides. I really have to pay attention to it. So
it's a sign.
It is, and I do talk about that in prior episodes about synchronicities and coincidences, and these are my cues, right? So I know I'm paying full attention. So we want to talk a little bit. We'll start out about inflammation and its impact on our bodies. So can you share quickly how you became doing what you're doing? How did you become the gut health?
Yeah. So where do I begin? I've always, since I was 14 years old, I knew I wanted to help people. And I started going to nursing school. That led me to a career working in drug and alcohol rehab. That, if anyone is familiar, is a 24/7, 365, very high stress job. And I put myself so far on the back burner that I wasn't even a priority at all. And my own health started to slip. So, to me, all I could see was the weight gain, right? I was like, I don't feel good. I have chronic pain. I don't sleep well. I chalked that up to genetics. I started chalking my body type up to genetics. And I had tried every diet. I did the master cleanse where you don't eat for 2 weeks and you just drink the lemonade. I mean, crazy drastic things. I've tried them all. And basically, my career in rehab got so stressful and so toxic that I decided to jump ship completely. I had always been kind of a gym rat, real focused on it. I loved the idea of health, even though I wasn't implementing anything. But I saw this job to become a personal trainer. And long story short, went through 3 interviews, got the job, got certified. And with that came learning about nutrition. And I decided to give this gut health thing my last shot. I tried all the diets. I'm like, well, this makes sense. I'm a science major. This makes sense in my nerd brain. And so I implemented everything and got tremendous results. I lost 7% body fat. I lost 11 inches. It all happened within a month. No products, no pills, no any of the other weird stuff I had already tried. And I was only working out 40 minutes a week. And loved it so much, got such great results, and internally too. Sleeping better, cystic acne was gone, no more chronic pain, things like that. So I became a health coach and started teaching others, and from there bloomed my business.
Well, that's awesome. You know what I find, on this show, talking to a lot of people, we all have our issues, and we get to a point, it's like, I need to find something that is really going to help me and propel me forward. And then we kind of find what we fall into and what we're doing. So that's, you're no exception there, it sounds like. But can you explain what inflammation is in the body and how it manifests? Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So inflammation is your body's response to illness or injury. And when you think of the word inflamed, you probably think like if you have a cut on your hand and you say it's inflamed, it's red, it's swollen, it's goopy, it's gross, right? I like to use the analogy of my earring, right? I can pull on it now. It's been several years. But when I got it pierced the first time, it was red and swollen, hot to the touch. I couldn't sleep on that side because it was inflamed. And the reason for that inflammation is my immune system is seeing this random piece of metal in my ear that's not natural, it's not supposed to be there. So it goes and sends out an attack. And which is good. You want your body to attack against foreign invaders, but it hurts, right? And it causes some discomfort. So when we are eating things that are not normal substances to the body. So our bodies were hardwired a long, long time ago. And when we're eating things, say junk food, fast food, all of that, our immune system sends that same kind of response, but it's internal and we don't necessarily see it like we would a piercing or a cut or something like that. And the problem with health today, right, all the different epidemics going on, diabetes, obesity, all of those things, is that we are being told, bribed, and essentially seduced into eating things that our bodies simply just don't recognize. And so therefore, the immune system starts going on the attack. It's constantly on attack because there are these foreign substances in our gut that aren't recognized.
Well, yeah, it seems to be there's a lot of different things that are out there. Celiac disease, all this gluten free, all this that wasn't never around when I was a kid or my parents,
Mhm.
because we didn't have all that junk food and processed foods. We didn't eat like that when growing up so much. And my parents certainly didn't. So I think that's really kind of creating a lot of health issues, isn't it? So is that what
Exactly.
happens with this chronic inflammation? It just really takes over. What happens then?
It does. Yeah. So when basically, just like you said, so when you were growing up, we didn't hear of all this stuff. And we can take it back to caveman times. That's essentially where our bodies were hardwired tens of thousands of years ago. And although we've gotten smarter, we have technological advances, we have medical advances, our bodies are still hardwired back from when there were no mass production plants or anything. It's just living in the wild. So our bodies thrive on plants and animals and nuts and seeds and what nature gave to us. We are animals at the end of the day on the food chain. So we all as a species developed before the dawn of agriculture, before processed foods and preservatives and mass production and all of that. And because of that, when we're eating things like that, the middle aisles of the grocery store, the cereals, the breads, different things that, fast food, sugar, soda, all of that stuff. When we're eating these things, your immune system is on attack that whole entire time. It's not just until the piercing heals because you're still piercing your gut, essentially. You know what I mean? So as it's going on and on and on, what happens is the gut, which is supposed to be like a hose, right? It should be like a sealed up tube. The way I think of the immune system sending out these attacks is like a ninja star, right? They're throwing these little sharp objects all around, these fighter cells going to attack the foreign invaders. Those ninja stars are sticking to your intestines and it's causing holes. And so instead of your intestines being a tube, it becomes more of like a mesh netting. And so undigested food and toxins and junk start seeping into your bloodstream, which is causing another immune response, more and more inflammation. And the cycle just continues and continues and continues. And that's what causes added weight, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, hormonal imbalances. I mean, just about everything that's making you feel unwell can be traced back to inflammation.
It sounds unwell. That just sounds terrible to have that stuff just
Yeah,
leaking out to your
right.
bloodstream. Really? Wow.
Exactly. It's called leaky gut.
Yeah, I've heard of leaky gut. I never really put a lot of thought into it, but the way you explain it, I understand it. Um, so what are the common signs and symptoms of inflammation that people aren't aware? And we live in that lifestyle, because you can go a long time and not even be aware that this is happening, and it just becomes your new normal. I don't think it's like
Right.
a, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And so when our immune system, and we may not feel it, you may not know. A lot of people that I work with, they're like, I didn't even realize life could be so much better. I didn't realize I was having all these problems until they were gone. And like me, I had started just thinking this was just the hand that I was dealt. Back pain every day, always tired, crashing at 2 o'clock after, unless I had caffeine, and just up and down and up and down. And then all of a sudden you just start to have natural energy. So that's a big one. The chronic fatigue, feeling like you need to reach for the caffeine at 2 o'clock or you're never going to make it through the end of the day. Poor sleep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What time is it? But skin conditions, I had cystic acne from 11 to 26 years old. I was 26 when I figured this all out for myself. Just being sick all the time is a huge one, because if our immune system's constantly fighting this inflammation and the foreign invaders, it's just working all the time, overtime. And so you get sick real easily. Anyone walked by me with a sniffle and I would be out. And now I'm just getting past a little cold. It's the third week of March. And this is the first time I've been sick since the school year started. I have a 4-year-old who brings home everything. So to say I made it this long without getting sick is a testament to my immune system.
Yeah, the little kids are petri dishes, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
health is very important for moms.
Yeah. So what about, are there specific foods or lifestyle factors that we can help cultivate a less inflamed body? I mean, you're talking about the foods that were not the processed foods, anything, it seems commonsensical, right?
Sure.
When you just think about it.
The ones that don't seem common sense are the ones that we've been being told to eat, like whole grains and saturated fats. Those are probably the two biggest ones that have such a bad rap. Saturated fats are so good for our body. Our brain needs it. A lot of people are very afraid of cholesterol. Your body actually produces cholesterol. There's the good and the bad types. There's different particle sizes. There's all kinds of science behind it. Eggs, yolk and whites are good for you. That's a big one that gets a bad rap too. But grains are extremely, extremely inflammatory. And oats milk, oat flour is a huge trend right now, but they are inflammatory. Gluten is,
whole grain oats? Really?
Yep.
All right. I got a whole bag of that I have to get rid of now.
I know. I always tell people, I'm like, you can either eat through it and then start, or toss it.
I don't want to eat through it. I know that I'm inflamed. We're going to get into it later because I have type 2 diabetes, and I probably will. But we'll talk. We're going to talk about that later. But yeah, if you're saying that is bad, I would have thought whole grain's good, but those oats are bad. So.
Right. Well, we've been told for decades that whole grains are good for us, that they're heart healthy and all these things. They're all carbs. Carbs are molecularly sugar, and we'll talk about that later too when we talk about diabetes. But grains, gluten especially, we simply just, as humans, this isn't, I know people will be like, gluten-free is a trend or a fad. My husband's aunt was like, there's no such thing as celiac, and that's not true. We, as a human species, simply don't have an enzyme that breaks it down. So anytime that we ingest gluten, we are essentially sending our immune system into that attack mode.
Now, some of that, is it because the grains are genetically modified, the GMO type foods? Is that what's causing like the gluten allergies and the
That's a big one. It's definitely a big one. And in America, we use so many pesticides and different things in our soil. Our soil is depleted of any nutrients, magnesium, zinc, those micronutrients that we need. So that is a factor. I personally, if I have gluten here, I will get a horrible migraine the next day, like hangover style migraine. But I can go eat pasta and pizza in Italy and be okay. So there is, the way the crops are taken care of makes a difference. However, going back to, if we're talking about cavemen and where our human bodies were designed and hardwired, they didn't have wheat. They were eating livestock, eating green vegetables, fruits in the summer, kind of eating with the season, going through feast and famine, which is why fasting can be such a beneficial tool for our bodies as well. But we weren't designed to consume that stuff. And so it does trigger some inflammation.
Yeah, you mentioned like some seasonal eating. That is a topic that I am very interested in at a later date with somebody, but I think seasonal eating is probably very be a very powerful thing. But it's time to take our first commercial break. I'm your host, Bob Kolazarek. You're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network, and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Bob Kolazarek, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. I'm here with Aubree Sellwood, gut health nutrition expert. And in this segment, we're going to explore gut health and how to heal the body quickly. So, Aubree, let me ask you this. How does gut health impact our overall well-being, and why is it crucial for maintaining good health?
So when we talk about cavemen and our primal ancestors, where our bodies were hardwired, which we were talking about a little while ago, when you think of a caveman, what kind of body do you picture? They're pretty lean, strong, fit individuals, right? Like Tarzan, right? Guy's ripped. But so what has happened now today? And a question that I get all the time is, let me back up just a little bit. Our organs, our body, all of our systems that control our hormones, that control our brain function, all of our systems, we are designed to live 125 years. I don't know anyone even close to 125. And so when people ask me, like, how do these things go together if a caveman's lifespan was like 30 years? And the answer is they were not dying of disease. They were not dying of obesity, of cancer, of diabetes, heart disease, anything like that. They were dying from wounds. They didn't have the medical technology we have today. They didn't have antiseptics. They were prey and predator as well too. So if a lion comes up and you get bit, you're as good as dead at that point. There's no amputating your leg. There's no cleaning out the wound. A lot of them died in childbirth as well, just because of lack of medical advances at that time. However, their bodies then could have lived to 125 years. Their hearts were completely healthy, brains were completely healthy, kidneys, liver, intestines, everything, because there was no such thing, no possible way to have a leaky gut. And if you've gone through a gut health program and you know what it's like to have a healed gut, you know that feeling. It's once I did it, and it just took 30 days. Once I went through that and saw how much greener the grass was on the other side, there's just no going back. It's having energy to play with your kids and keep up with your kids or your grandkids. A lot of my clients, that's a goal of theirs. It's, for me, I have 3 kids. I had gestational diabetes all 3 times. So I am at high risk for type 2. And that keeps me accountable as well to stay on top of my gut health. But it's once your gut is sealed, you start producing natural energy. Your brain chemistry becomes balanced. I came off of anxiety and depression medication. Just you have natural happiness. Everything just flows. Your whole body just works as
Natural
it's supposed to.
happiness. I like that. Natural
Yeah,
happiness.
yeah. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, I can relate. Again, I've been having some health issues too, and overcoming them. But we're gonna talk about that, and then in the next segment, it's very interesting what you're saying. So, what are some of the key factors that contribute to the unhealthy gut? Is it the mostly the bad foods? I assume that we were talking about in the first segment.
Yeah, that's I mean that's what it all comes down to. There are things like, excess cortisol production that cause you to gain weight and not sleep so well, but that goes back to food as well and hormones just being imbalanced because of the inflammatory foods you're eating.
Well, what about stress though? Because
Mm.
cortisol is released. That's like the fight or flight hormone, right? So when
Yes.
somebody, and I think this was my problem over the years, because I just had a lot of stress all the time. I had my work stress, I had my life, home stress, a lot of stress, just always fight or flight. And so I think my body was just pumping cortisol left and right. And I think that's kind of what, my diet wasn't
Yes.
right. And I was probably drinking too much at the time and all this other stuff, not living a great lifestyle. But then, I developed the diabetes, and, it's just been a struggle, 20 years, struggling with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, stress
my
is
point was this:
like
I think
everything.
stress is a big part of it. I'm sorry.
It
Go
is
ahead.
absolutely, absolutely. That's something I work with my clients on too is stress management because that's an external factor that can for sure have an impact. But when you are eating right and taking care of your gut, that will help bring the cortisol down naturally too. So they kind of work together in a good like kind of harmonious balance.
So specific dietary changes. Again, I'm kind of stuck on the whole grains versus not whole grains. You said the oats are bad. So from a dietary change or supplements, what would you recommend for me? Like, you know, struggling with weight and not having too many unhealthy carbs. What's your recommendation?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I want to clarify too, this all grains, whole grains, not whole grains, gluten, non gluten, all grains are just inflammatory to the human body just by science. The other things to eliminate, and people get mad at me when I say this one, but dairy and so no cheese, no cow's milk. However, we're very lucky today that there are a lot of alternatives. I love food. I love to cook. I love flavor. I will not tell you to eat something that I haven't vetted myself as delicious and at least a close alternative to whatever you're getting rid of. But all grains, dairy, legumes, that includes peanuts, these are all inflammatory to the human body. Soy, sugar, alcohol, those two should probably
Soy bad? Soy's bad.
Soy is actually full of estrogen. So we don't, as women, we don't need any more of it. Men don't need it. And we're working on balancing hormones in our endocrine system with gut health. So taking extra hormones on top of that just doesn't make sense.
So if you're vegetarian, like I am, right? Like tofu, that's like a soy product, is it not?
It
And but
is.
that's a big part of a vegetarian type of diet as a form of protein, and soy is. So what
Mhm.
when you if you're a vegetarian, trying to have a good gut health, what can you eat? You got berries, right? Certain berries that are good for you. What can you eat? What
So that's a good question. So it depends, excuse me, on if you do eat eggs. Still, eggs are a good one. Tree nuts like macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, they pack a ton of protein and healthy fats. Same with spinach with a protein. So those are a lot of the good plant-based. Quinoa is a good one too. Quinoa is technically a seed, but it may act like a grain for some people. So it's kind of a gray area with quinoa, but it is a complete protein found in nature. So those are some good protein alternatives.
Yeah, I was wondering about quinoa, because like True Foods. Do you know the restaurant True Foods? Dr. Andrew
I've heard of
Weil.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his menu is all kind of anti-inflammatory based menu.
Hmm.
at his restaurants. And quinoa, I know they serve there because I like the teriyaki quinoa bowl. But I used to get it with the tofu added protein, but I might have to stop the tofu now. So
Yeah. If you, for vegetarians listening, some people are just like, they are diehard vegetarians for life, and that's fine. If you aren't, animal proteins are fine to have. A lot of people are afraid of red meat. It's not, it's not a scary thing. It's okay to have. Or pescatarians too. You get a lot of protein from fish if you do fish.
I don't eat a lot of fish, but sometimes I do. Depends on what my body's telling me because I need that extra protein sometimes, and I don't always
Right.
get it. What about like a whey protein as a supplement? That's like it's a milk based,
Right.
right? Is
Yeah.
that
So it can work for some people. The dairy is inflammatory. For me personally, I can't do whey. I ordered some. I ended up giving it to my stepson in the room behind me because it just upset my stomach too much. I just couldn't tolerate it. You find
no
that
way?
when you eliminate over the years, if you think about these grains, dairy, soy, legumes, we've been eating these for decades, right? Mostly our whole lives. And so we don't even realize what it's doing to our bodies until we eliminate it. And a lot of people are like, well, I've been eating this way my whole life. What do you mean? And I said, well, then why are you on a consultation with me? Right. So there are, when you eliminate something and then go to reintroduce it, you might find that your gut's like, whoa, wait a second, we're doing a lot better without this stuff. And that's for me what I experienced with whey protein.
What about like the plant based protein, like powders? Because I like to work out. I like to have protein supplements because I
Right.
don't. I tried to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, but I don't get a lot of protein, and it's been a hard adjustment period for me. So, but there's
Yeah.
like pea based, proteins. I
The
can't think of.
best one that I've found, I'll have to look for a new brand because I don't know what happened. Julian Bakery was one of my favorite. If anyone knows what happened to Julian Bakery, let me know. But they had an egg white based protein powder that was really good. They had a glazed donut flavor. It was my favorite. I don't know what happened to it, but I know there are, if you do eggs, if you're lacto ovo, but egg white protein base drink or shake supplements work really well.
Yeah, I do eat eggs. But see, I was thinking, I was starting to get in ahead of myself before our talk today. So I bought some really nice organic, you know, um, sorry,
No
whole
problem.
grain bread that I wanted to, avocado toast with eggs. But now, I have to rethink that whole
And you're like,
process.
dang it. If you have a Sprouts has some really good bread. There's a Carbonaut. It's like astronaut, but Carbonaut bread. That's what I get for my kids. They do bagels, hamburger buns, hot dog buns, bread, or Base Culture is another good bread.
Got it. I got it. So I suppose the gut health obviously plays a big role in boosting our immune system and enhances the body's ability to heal itself more efficiently. Would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. So when you take out these inflammatory foods, you're essentially taking out those ninja stars from your gut that we were saying in the first segment. And now your immune system gets to rest. It finally gets a break. It finally can just sit back and the body heals. And even though it's decades and decades of built up damage that we're talking about, the gut can actually heal in 30 days, which is incredible. And I like to remind people how fast the body can heal and how amazing it can be. I used to work in rehab, which I think I mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah.
I had a 25-year-old woman who had a full blown heart attack and had liver disease, cirrhosis of the liver, hepatitis. I mean, you name it, from severe alcoholism, 25 years old. And she got sober. Few months later, goes back to her doctor, and her liver had completely regenerated to someone who's never had alcohol before. And we hear stories like that. The liver regenerates, and the whole body does, really. So it's incredible. Your body wants to live 125 years, and so it's the gut can heal just that fast, and that's just such a blip on the timeline. When I talk about all of the foods that cause inflammation, so for some people, that's taking away like everything they eat. My mom, for example, I would go to her house and I couldn't eat anything there. And then on the flip side, she asks me, what do you eat? And so there's this disconnect about it. And, but once you eliminate it, your body, it heals just, it's so fast. It's just eliminating these foods for 30 days is such a small blip on your timeline of your life that it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And you learn so much about your body and how it reacts to certain foods. It's very eye-opening.
And 30 days is also sufficient time to make new habit, right? It says 21 days to create a habit. So 30 days, you may have just really changed your whole eating habits and
Yeah.
put a much healthier way. But let me ask you, as a personal trainer too, you're training people. Are there like certain body exercises? We got about a minute left that helps with the gut health too, other than
Yes.
just eating, the physical aspect of it.
Yes, this goes to caveman times too. So we do a specialized 20-minute workout just twice a week. And the idea is to lift really, really slowly, but really heavy. And so that enroads your muscles to the deepest potential, like how a caveman would move a boulder or a tree branch to build a shelter. Very slow, very, very methodical, enroads those muscles to their deepest potential, creating the most growth and the most change. So that's what I focus on with my training.
Wow, that's interesting. Very slow, very heavy. You might have to
Yes.
give that a shot. All right.
Try it. Yeah. It's a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like it. I'm definitely open to trying a lot of different things. So, but it is time to take another short commercial break. I think I'm not drinking, not slurring my words, but I'm your host, Bob Kolazarek. This is Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Bob Kolazarek, and this is Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We're back with Aubree Sellwood. And back into segment 3 now. We're into segment 3. So let's talk about managing and reversing type 2 diabetes, something that's near and dear to both of our hearts. So like I said, I've had type 2 diabetes for 20 years. I'm turning 60 this year. I was diagnosed right when I turned 40. So I've certainly had my ups and downs with it. So my question to you, how does the gut health influence the insulin sensitivity and the blood sugar regulation? Is it a tie-in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So insulin is a hormone. And I mentioned very briefly earlier, what happens when you get rid of inflammation and balance out your gut is you balance out your hormones as well and your whole endocrine system. So what happens with diabetes is we eat sugar, it goes out into our blood, and insulin's job is to push it into the cells. But eventually the cells are at max capacity and they say no more insulin can come or no more sugar can come in. The body produces more insulin, and then it's just this constant battle until there's just no more room for the sugar and it elevates in the blood, right? So that's where diabetes starts. And hormones, their job in the body, all of them, we have over 50 hormones in our body, insulin being a big one that I think everyone has heard the name of. Hormones are messengers. That is their job. So for example, we have one called leptin that communicates from the gut to the brain that tells us when we're full. When we have inflammation going on, it suppresses the message. It's like it takes the phone line and just cuts it in half. And so you can't communicate at all. Insulin is just, your pancreas is going nuts producing so much insulin. And on this standard American diet with all the whole grains, the processed sugar, all the junk food, what a lot of people don't realize is that carbs are molecularly sugar. As soon as you start to chew it, it turns into sugar. And so eating a bagel can do the same thing to your blood sugar that eating a Snickers bar can do. And so when you eliminate
Which
a lot of the
sometimes I would go for the Snickers bar because I just find them more enjoyable, you know?
Yes, I agree. I love candy bars. I have a good alternative for one. But yeah, so when we're eating, a lot of these inflammatory foods are packed with carbs, right? All those grains, if you're eating processed sugar, burgers, pizza, cereals, things like that, it's all grains. It's all sugars. And so as soon as you're consuming them, they're starting to spike your blood sugar left and right. So when you eliminate them and you start getting rid of the inflammation in your body and things are calming down, you're not producing as much insulin anymore because there's no need to. If there's no sugar in your blood, no carbs in your, not no carbs, we need some. But if there's very minimal sugar in your blood and you learn how to just level it out rather than spiking and crashing and spiking and crashing, then everything does start to kind of just fall into balance and your hormones are talking again. They're doing what they're supposed to do. You're secreting the right amount of insulin that you need and blood sugars start to manage.
Do you ever recommend intermittent fasting to people? Because
I love intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I found that to be effective. You know, I'm an energy healer, right? So I took myself on as a case, and I had to build up my energy body, get strong enough to do the intermittent fasting. But it was taking a while. But yeah, I found it to be so effective as well. You know.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite biohacking tools. The only caveat is if a diabetic experiences dawn phenomenon, that might not work because what can actually help dawn phenomenon, which is where you could eat super clean all day and be fine, have a great dinner, go to sleep, you wake up and your fasting numbers are elevated. And it's like, why? I didn't eat any sugar. What is this? And that's because your body, as you sleep, it's like, hey, we need energy to wake up. And so the energy that your body wants to burn the most, the quickest is carbs. And so it's looking for that sugar and it's starting to pull everything up and out. So that's why your blood sugar can be high in the morning while you're fasting if you have that dawn phenomenon. But what can stop that is having a little bit of carbs before bed, healthy carbs like sweet potato or things like that. And so that would kind of interfere with intermittent fasting, but that way the body has the energy it needs to get up and you're not pulling and trying to produce your own sugars. And that way your blood sugar will not spike as much in the morning. If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense to me because I know what the dawn phenomenon is. I've experienced it. I've seen it, been very frustrated by it, because, oh my God, because the numbers could be fairly high and it is frustrating. So anybody out there with diabetes, I understand the frustration. I mean, it's the struggle is real for sure. But I tell you, it's even with the high blood sugars in the morning and the dawn phenomena, it's hard to get up in the morning. But like when it's under control and the norm, like I told you, I was out of control for a little while, but I got myself back into control. Like my morning number this morning was like 106, like perfect, right?
Yeah.
But it's like waking up, you're waking up happy, you're waking up easy, and it's not like dragged down. So it really kind of changes your life from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, we talked
what
about
about?
the cortisol too, which is another hormone. And so when your body's regulated and your endocrine system is regulated, what would normally happen is at night or in the evening, your cortisol starts to go down, your melatonin starts to come up, and then it just reverses in the morning. And so you wake up feeling energized and well rested. That was a huge game changer for me.
Yeah. So as a health coach specialized in the gut health, how do you work with the clients who have type 2 diabetes? And you create personalized nutrition programs and lifestyle workout. We talked a little
Mhm.
bit about the workout plans. Is that consistent for all your clients, diabetes or not? That kind of workout.
Yes, it's consistent because everyone is going to be eliminating the inflammatory foods because at the end of the day, that is the goal. So everyone will have a meal guide and a nutrition guide, a workout plan that is tailored for gut health. With diabetics, we of course would make sure there's not as a bunch of fruit, like you're not going to have just a banana as a snack or just a glass of juice as a snack because that can spike it. So we do tailor it. Every plan I do myself. It's not just something where I just press a button and everyone gets the same thing. Everyone's is specific. You know, some people like yourself, you're a vegetarian. I'm not going to give you a plan that has chicken and steak on it. So everyone will have an anti-inflammatory plan, but with diabetics, we will definitely focus on keeping everything low glycemic as well.
Yeah, which is, I'm sad about bananas being a higher glycemic
I
type of a
know.
food because I like bananas, but I do know if you get them on the green side, they're a little bit lower glycemic. So
Yes.
I do try to get them, eat them a little bit on the greener side because I like
Yeah.
them.
And
I
everyone's
don't like.
different.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So what
part of the struggle, like for diabetics, we like certain foods, and we want to enjoy them every now and then, but I suppose just in
Sure.
moderation, right? But
Yeah, and like I said, I'm all about finding an alternative too. If there's a way for me to have a pizza and still be anti-inflammatory, I'm going to find it. I make my kids donuts and cupcakes that are completely anti-inflammatory. You can use monk fruit as a sugar alternative. It's 0 calorie, 0 carb, great for diabetics. And I use, instead of regular wheat flour, we do a coconut flour mixed with tapioca flour. There's all kinds of ways to still enjoy your favorites, which I
what
think is
about
a
a
huge piece of making it a lifestyle.
yeah, for sure. What about a cauliflower crust pizza? Is cauliflower
Mhm.
okay? 'Cause I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
like
that's a
it.
good one.
Yeah.
You'd have to watch out. What I've noticed with like store-bought crusts is there will be corn or flour, wheat flour mixed in it just to kind of hold everything together. So finding a true paleo type cauliflower crust can be tricky. I'm working
Hmm.
on it.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, if you find one, let me know.
Yeah, there's a brand called Simple Mills that I believe makes one that I think I tried it once. I need to try it again. There's so far nothing exactly like a pizza crust though.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. But what about success stories? Do you have any success stories of clients you've been seen with the improvements in their type 2 diabetes?
Yeah, gosh. So what really propelled me to continue with my business was my very first client who was referred to me. I had a friend, my mentor actually was just waiting for me to become a coach and start my business so she could refer this woman to me. Her name's Liz. And she came to me. She was like, I was just diagnosed with type 2. I'm not quite to the point where I need to be on insulin yet, but I'm terrified of it and I don't want to be on insulin. I said, okay. And I had learned everything. I had gone through my own experience, but she was my very first client. This was 2017, 2018. And so we worked together. We did the same thing, got her off the inflammatory foods. She went back to her doctor a couple months, like 3 or 4 months in, and she, was checking her blood sugars. They were staying level while she was working with me, but I don't know what her A1C is doing. I can't see that. So she goes to the doctor, and I'm, she was in Oceanside, which is more like southern California. I'm up in Orange County. And so I remember just waiting that whole day. I'm like, when is she going to get the results of her blood work? When are we going to, know if anything's working, if we're doing things right? And she called me and said, my doctor just told me, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you are reversing your type 2 and your numbers are those of someone who does not have diabetes. So that was amazing to see her go through it. She also lost 30 pounds. She was able to start exercising again. the weight loss just kind of comes hand in hand with it. It becomes easy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Was she on any kind of medication prior to going on your program? She hadn't gotten that far because
No,
I had,
thankfully.
yeah, because I had gotten to the point where I was like maxed out on all my
Mm.
meds. This is over because
Oh,
it's a
geez.
progressively deteriorating disease if you don't manage it. And I was like, my next step was insulin, and then I started working on myself with the healings and do my own healing, and I lost 40 pounds, 50 pounds,
Oh,
and then
nice.
feeling great. Yeah, so it's that part's amazing too. So, but I tell you what, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today, Aubree.
Thank
Let's
you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
yeah, let's put her contact info up on the screen. Got your Facebook. They can find you at Limitless Life Global, right? And then your email,
Mhm.
Aubree at limitlesslifeglobal.com. So,
Yes, yeah, and that's our website too, limitlesslifeglobal.com. We've got a really cool gut analysis quiz right up there that you can take, and it'll tell you what the best thing to do is for your gut if you've got leaky gut, if you've got inflammation going on. So the quiz is pretty cool.
yeah, so thank you again for being on the program. And
Yeah, thank you so much.
better off. And I tell you what, I will check in with you because I am going to really kind of focus on this. I've never focused on the gut health as specifically as you were talking about today. So I will let you know what my results are. So
Sounds good.
it's time for take another short commercial break. I'm your host, Bob Kozarek. This is Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. I'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back to Greetings from the Ashram. I am your host, Bob Kozarek, and we are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. And on behalf of the show, I want to again extend my heartfelt gratitude to Aubree for sharing her expertise and insights on gut health, inflammation, and managing chronic health condition on today's episode. Her passion for empowering others to prioritize their well-being and embrace a life of vitality shines through in her valuable contributions to the program. So thank you for enlightening our audience and inspiring us and me definitely to take proactive steps towards better health and wellness. I will definitely follow up with you with my results. Moving on to next week, I will be joined by Amelia Kamateros. She is the author of Spirit of the Stones and the recently released book, Transmissions of Earth Spirit Wisdom, a shamanic way of seeing, being, and healing. She's a naturopathic doctor from Australia who has managed her own natural holistic healing center with over 14 practitioners for over 15 years. During this time, she's worked as a personal health consultant for NXS, which was Australia's foremost leading rock music band, for about 6 years. She's a shamanic healer, psycho-spiritual counselor, ceremonialist, shamanic priestess, transformational teacher, and earth spirit wisdom guide. She inspires us to reconnect with Earth and our own body as a sacred temple of living spirit. Along with extensive work experience, she has as a counselor and a healer, she's garnered a notable reputation as a ceremonial dancer and as a powerful facilitator of her shamanic-based earth dance workshops. So we're super excited to have her on the program next week. As we conclude today's episode, I trust you have gained valuable knowledge on the intricate interplay between gut health, inflammation, and various chronic health conditions like type 2 diabetes. Our guest, Aubree Sellwood, has shared invaluable expertise to guide you on a path towards holistic well-being. We've uncovered that gut health serves as a cornerstone of our overall health, impacting not only our digestion, but also immune function, mental well-being, and inflammation levels. By nurturing our gut through mindful nutrition choices, lifestyle adjustments, and stress management techniques, we can fortify our health foundation and unlock our full potential. Inflammation, a common underlying factor of many chronic diseases, can disrupt our body's equilibrium and lead to a myriad of health issues beyond just the type 2 diabetes. So it's valuable information to have. And I would encourage everybody that has any kind of chronic condition to go out and give this a shot. Find those anti-inflammatory type foods. Change your life. Like Aubree was saying, it only takes 30 days or less. Real quick, I didn't have time to talk to her about during the program, but back in episode 3, I had Dr. Jason Yuan. He's a research fellow for the Pranic Healing Research Institute, and they did research on the gut and studies on the microbiomes. We were on spiritual vacation at the ashram in Bovina 2 years in a row. They did these studies, and the results were that through meditation and everybody being on the vegetarian style diet, showed great improvements in the microbiomes. I wish I had the study with me. I don't have it, but I'll send it to Aubree when I get it. It's a very interesting study, but meditation, diet also, really contributes greatly to the microbiome improvement. So anyway, that's it for me today. Please follow me on my social media, Facebook at Self-Help Coaching LLC, Instagram at Self-Help Coaching, and my YouTube channel at Self-Help Coaching LLC. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So until we meet again, remember that your health is your greatest wealth. Take care, stay well, and embrace the journey to a healthier, happier you. Namaste, everyone. We'll see you next week.
This has been Greetings from the Ashram with host Bob Kolazarik. Through meaningful conversations and practical insights, this show invites you to explore the endless possibilities for personal growth, healing, and spiritual awakening. Tune in each week to discover how these practices can bring balance and harmony to your life, making it a true journey of self-discovery. Fridays, 7 p.m. on the Bold Brave TV network.